Should artists fear AI? Answer is yes, absolutely. We should kill whoever made it, burn them at the stake, and get rid of the entire AI thing entirely. Bye-bye AI, over, we're done. Now that's what I would like to say, but I think it's worth discussing why we as artists might feel this way, and at the same time how AI is just another copycat. And that truly there's not much to worry about. Because for sure, AI is pumped full of steroids and caffeine, making it be able to eliminate one of the main things that makes art valuable in the first place: time. Whether we like it or not, it's just a fact that we are not able to produce art at the speed AI can. But that's not a bad thing though, because the time and effort you put into your craft is reflected in your work, and that adds value to it in the eyes of art connoisseurs, aka the people who see your work as valuable. Those are the people you aim to create for, the people who might not be artists themselves but see the value in your craft. Not the naysayers who constantly try to devalue artists, those who consider us as obsolete and not worth the effort or expense. They have been around since the dawn of time, and I'm pretty sure almost all of us has faced a form of naysayer talk before. You know, the good old fashioned, that's too expensive, or why would I pay for the scribble on paper, or I can always get this drawing cheaper somewhere else. And it's so funny because legit every single one of them who speaks like this, art has affected their day-to-day life in some way, shape or form. The clothes they wear, someone had to design it, gather the material and stitch it. The car they drive, someone had to design it and build it. The games they play, someone had to write the story, design the characters, create the visual effects that allows them to go to their friends and say, this is cinema. But yet you still want to devalue artists. You still want to say that artists are not worth anything because, and I quote, I can do it too. Yes, you're right. You can do it too. So go ahead, do it. Oh, you're not doing it? You want to know why you haven't done it? Even though you say you can? It's because you're scared. You're scared because you know deep down it's not as easy as you claim it is. It's not as easy to get good as you think it is. And that's why you make up the excuse to say you have no interest in such foolishness. But the reality is, you lack the creative aspect or creative interest and inspiration that one has to have in order to even begin an art journey. So get a grip, man. Because truth be told, most of you think that what we go through as artists is just sunshine and rainbows. Most of you don't even know the mental load an artist has to carry at times. The loads of depression one must face when they come face to face with reality that they are just not as good as they think. So for all of you who think that an artist's job is easy, prove me wrong and pick up a pencil and paper and get to work. Heck, this might be the best decision of your life or the worst one. And speaking of devaluing, the next question I ask myself, is AI devaluing artists? Because truth be told, artists being devalued is nothing new. Artists being copied is nothing new. There are many modern day examples of artists blatantly stealing from another artist, taking their style of creating and charging for it. There are examples of artists having a similar style of work to another and charge less for their work in hopes of attracting more clientele and undercutting their competition. This is not anything new, it's just business. But what is new is the mass production of an artist's signature style being created in such a short amount of time, like what we can see happening with the Studio Ghibli incident, where now there are so many individuals who claim to have achieved the Ghibli style with a lifeless computer code. But you can argue and say artists stole from Ghibli all the time, ripping them off and earning from it. So what makes this so different? It's different because even though there were and still are artists who draw in a style similar to Ghibli, they were actually artists, dude. People who most of the time devote themselves to master that specific way of creating, whether that be from blatantly copying or respectfully studying that material because they might be a fan or simply inspired by it. Point is, those people still put in the time. They exchanged their time for whatever work they created. And it wasn't being done in a way that would truthfully devalue the studio. If anything, it was bringing value to it, because most would know that it wasn't original work produced by the creator and understood even though they look similar, those other artists are simply just copies. It's similar to how high fashion brands have numerous ripoffs, but yet their real fans and people who appreciate the authenticity of their work still find them. Which, believe it or not, there are a lot of people who value authenticity above everything else. And that's what makes these brands still strive regardless. That's why despite having so many copies, they simply move on. Unless of course that copy is so good that it becomes hard to differentiate from the original, and of course something has to be done. So in the case of Studio Ghibli, I don't believe Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli's founder, is upset about his work being copied. It's more about how it's being copied. He's upset because it's downright disrespectful to him and all the other artists who put in the work at Studio Ghibli. He's upset because it lacks the human aspect of it, which is the time, sweat, and tears that one must put into their work. And at the same time, as much as I hate to say it, some of these copies are actually pretty decent, dude. And they were made and sponsored from a major corporation as a means of easy access to his work without his consent, and for someone to look at the years of pain, blood, sweat, and tears and write off to be seen as just quick and easy with a press of a button is absolutely disgusting. I'm pretty sure anybody would be upset if they were in the shoes of Studio Ghibli or Miyazaki, because they are making your work seem as if it's nothing worth hyping up. But unfortunately, in Studio Ghibli's case, they are a big studio and a very notable one at that. So it's way harder to just shrug off these acts and consider them just to be nothing, because this doesn't only affect one person, it affects an entire workforce. There are employees who work there who might feel threatened by this fact, by this idea that they might not be seen as valuable anymore. So the point is, in a big studio's case, it's a bit harder to ignore the blatant copying of one's work by another corporation than that of, say, a single artist. Look at Sam Does Arts, for example. His work has been force-fed to AI. Heck, I believe his art was one of the first to be fed to it, due to his immense popularity. And sure, he probably hates that idea like any of us would, but he still smiles and moves on with life regardless. Why? Because not only does he have an extremely successful art career, it's the peace of mind to know that he is the original, and the people who are his core supporters know that. And because he's the original, the value he starts to gain from these copycats is immense, because people are willing to spend their time and hard-earned money with him over everybody else who's just copying his work. And every time someone sees the work of these copies, they are reminded of him, which is pretty much free marketing if you ask me. And yeah, you can argue and say it may not be worth it to get a full, legal battle as a solo artist simply due to the expenses, and that could make it more of a reason why more artists don't do it. They don't sue corporations for feeding their work to AI because they simply can't afford it. But did they quit or cry about their careers being ruined at the sight of AI mass producing their work? No. Why? Because a copy pales in comparison to the original. So yes, on one hand, you can say AI is devaluing artists simply because if you think about it, if diamonds were accessible to everybody, then would they really be worth as much? The answer is no. But at the same time, the quality of those diamonds are still so far from being pure that it makes the original and highest purity diamonds even more valuable. So these are just like my thoughts on the entire AI situation. If artists should fear AI, I really don't think you should. I don't think there's a reason for it. I think as long as you curate an audience that respects your work and curate people who actually sees the value in your work, you'll be just fine. I still think that studios will keep that idea of, human-made art around for a very long time. And plus, humans will still be humans. We'll find a way to beat this like we always do. Right now, I know for sure traditional artists are dancing knowing that no matter what, they're still probably safe for maybe the next 200 years, or until AI starts making real-life holograms, or maybe they train a bot to hold a pencil and draw on paper. And speaking of that, do you realize how the entire point of AI is to try and make the closest thing to humans that humans can make, if that makes sense? And apart from actual living organs, what do humans have that is so valuable? The artistic and creative expression. The way we talk, sing, dance, the way we view the world and the opinions we create. It only makes sense that they're trying to rip us off by attacking what matters to us the most. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. How do you feel about the AI situation? Do you think artists are overreacting, or do you think it's justified? I just had this on my mind, a little quick thought I wanted to share with you guys, so be sure to let me know down below in the comment section. So don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it really helps in supporting me, a real human artist, as well as check out the Patreon link in the description if you really want to support a human artist. And as always, happy drawing, I'm watching from afar, and I'm rooting for you. Peace.